Hi guys, I'm Nick Bester and welcome back to my channel. I am a runner on a mission. I would love to run 2:18 something at London Marathon. Training's been going really well, and that's what pretty much today's video is all about. A bit of a training update. I've tried some new things this training block. Remember, in my last full send marathon Berlin, I finally ticked off that magical sub 220. So I feel like I can risk a few things en route to London Marathon. Last time I raced London Marathon all out, it went really bad, and that's sort of sitting inside my head. So I'm really trying to put in extra work this time around to know that I can sort of rectify those mistakes I made previously and walk away with a new shiny PB. We'll get there or die trying. And yeah, throughout this course of this video, I want to talk about the training camp that I'm currently on in Cyprus at the moment. Halfway through the training camp, I want to talk about through some of my training, what my training is looking like, and then what my training is going to look like going forward. We're 5.5 weeks out from magical London Marathon, and I always say the key parts, the most important part is from about 7 weeks out to 3 weeks out. So it really is the time to put in the work. But yeah, first things first. So I'm in Cyprus at the moment, currently halfway through the Best Athletics training camp. And do you know what? I do like 98% of my training solo, as I'm sure you see if you follow me on Strava. So it's just so nice to have people around, group around, good energy, a good vibe. Even though, you know, there's a mixed range of ability and people just do everything at their own pace. So, you know, I don't necessarily have company for, you know, the tougher sessions. You go out, turn around, come back. But it's just nice to know that you're not suffering alone. So yeah, it started off really well. You know, body's feeling strong. I'm putting in some big mileage. You know what? If you're looking to get like a good solid training out of a week and have a good time, you know, in a sunny beach destination, that's good for the family, good for the team, you know, good for morale, good for spirits. I think you come to a place like Cyprus, it's awesome. The promenade's awesome. The track's amazing. But I think, you know, if you really want to level up and, you know, absolutely hit the peak of your performance, then you should probably go on a training camp to somewhere like Kenya and longer than a week, probably like, you know, 2 to 3 weeks, where you at high altitude, you know, you're generating those extra red blood cells, you're working super hard. You come back to a place where there's not much, where you're not high above sea level like London, and you absolutely fly upon returning. You know, it's a lot harder there. You live a lot more of a humble life, let's say, which makes you work harder. There's less temptations around. For the position where I'm at the moment in my sort of running journey, let's say, I'm not prepared to sacrifice the time away from family and, you know, spend weeks away from family time and go to Kenya. I could sacrifice a lot that what I do now in order to get a better marathon time, but I actually don't want to do things very differently. You know, I want to sort of live life hard, you know, grow the business as best as possible, be the best possible family person that I can be there for my mates, be there for my coach athletes, and then try and be the best athlete that I can. And you know what, it might cost me, you know, a few minutes over the marathon, but like I said, we wouldn't have it any other way, and we all live busy lives, and it's all about getting that balance right, which, you know, I try every day and I don't necessarily get it right. So yeah, so training has been going really well. A bit of a training update. If you've been watching my YouTube channel, you would have seen a lot of race vlogs. That's because I've been racing a lot. So I sort of took on a challenge where it was like 4 races in 14 days, so 4 races within 2 weeks. The first of which was the Winchester, so my local 10K. That went really, really well. So I ran 31:52. I set the course record there. It was elevation was just over 100 meters, so quite a hilly little bugger route, and I'd probably give that like a 9 out of 10 performance. And then just 4 days later, I raced a 5K in Battersea Park, super stacked. And you know, those groups, there's just something about it that just makes you level up your game. I ran really well there for myself as well. I ran 14:36, so just 2 seconds off my PB. With that time, we know that the leg speed is there. So once again, I'm giving that a 9 out of 10. And then 3 days later, I raced Brighton half marathon. Can't even keep up with all these races. I wasn't firing on all cylinders, and probably understandably so. I came 6th over there. I got beaten in a sprint finish, and I ran 68 high. And then a week later was sort of my goal half marathon, Cambridge half marathon. It's where, you know, I tend to really put in a good performance. Unfortunately, the conditions were a bit warmer, but don't want to make any excuses. I would have loved to PB over the half marathon this block, just the way I'm feeling. I know I'm feeling in PB shape, which is, you know, awesome, but results speak for themselves. So yeah, I ran 67:15. So my third fastest time. I came within the top 10, and I'll probably give that run like an 8 out of 10. Going back to Brighton half, I'd probably give that run a 7 out of 10. So we've got 2 9s, a 7 and an 8. So, really good, but hopefully we're saving that 10 out of 10 performance for London Marathon. The purpose of me doing that was, one, because those races really appealed to me and they just landed over a 14-day period. But number two, from the psychological point of view, that I was putting myself in the deep end, in that pain cave time and time again. And I just felt like I came out of there so much stronger mentally. You get to that last third of a race and think, Nick, why on earth are you doing this? Like, this is a choice. It's not an obligation. You're doing this to yourself. You don't need to, hang up your running shoes, take up golf again. But you know what, walking away from those races, you just feel so much mentally tougher. And I feel like I can unlock more of my potential if I just keep training my mind to get stronger and stronger and stronger, especially over the marathon. It's, the mental side plays such a big part in it. But now that phase is over, I wanted to put in sort of 3 weeks of 200-kilometer training weeks. Okay, so it's something that I haven't ever done in the past. I usually sort of do around 140, 150k weeks, pick it up to about 160, 170. So notching it up to 200 is quite substantially more. But I feel like we can risk a little bit for the biscuit. And, if it works in my favor, it could really play out really well. And if it doesn't, then you know what, we tried and we can't kill ourselves for trying. Like, you've got to give it a go. What I often do is I compare myself to the world's best, not compare myself, but see what the world's best are doing, and then try and take bits and pieces. And the world's best are doing 250 to 300 kilometer weeks. Okay, it's their jobs, and some of them are world record holders, let's say. But I feel like if they can do that, then I can try 200 kilometer weeks, give a little bit of love and attention, a little bit more love and attention to training over the next sort of 4 weeks. Really try and prioritize training as much as I possibly can with balancing other aspects in life, and just see what we can do. These 200k weeks are making me feel a lot stronger, but you need to fit in that quality, because mileage doesn't mean all that much without quality. So it's no good me putting up these massive weeks but not getting in that marathon pace, that faster than marathon pace, that VO2 max work, in order to make marathon pace feel comfortable on race day. Otherwise, I'll just build an amazing aerobic engine, but I'm not going to have that sharpness, that speed to run at 218 at London. I'm definitely going to have more of the taper. So I usually taper about 10 days out. I'll probably maybe start tapering from about 2 weeks out, and not necessarily drop the mileage too much. Obviously, it will drop slightly, but just drop the intensity to try and freshen up. So in actual fact, we've only got 3.5 more weeks of work, and let's go get it. Okay, so today is double session day. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually quite nervous. It feels like, that feeling before you go into a race almost, that pre-sessional race buzz. I've got that, which I'm hoping I can channel. And the reason why I'm quite nervous is because I found this morning a little bit tougher than I probably should have. So it's my first time doing these double sessions. I did one last week, and this is the second time I'm ever doing it. And I just found it was an incredible way to bank volume. Last week I banked 20k's worth of volume, and I wasn't as cooked the next day as if I'd banked like a 15k straight session. I've refueled. Fueling is crucial these double session days. I've really got some good fuel in. I'm feeling positive. I've got 9.6k's of volume to do. Hopefully I'll say the same afterwards. Let's go get it. Boom, shakalaka, guys. Honestly, I thought it was going to be tough. It was even tougher than that. Probably one of the hardest runs of the block, if not the hardest. But we banked 20k's worth of volume. I did a similar session last week in the UK, and it was about 15 degrees cooler than what it is today, and probably not as windy. And yeah, I was a lot quicker there. So today I averaged probably around half marathon pace or so, even for the second session. I would have liked to go closer to 10k, but you know what? It's all about effort, banking that volume. When I freshen up for race day, it's going to come. I'm pushing my limits more than I ever have. So yeah, today I felt like I was definitely on my limits. The demons that you face, I wanted to stop. It was so nice to have Krista smash in the session too. And
wow. I mean, the sport just gets more and more brutal, but it's in the bank and it's going to pay off come 5.5 weeks time. London 218, we're coming for you.
This week, actually, I was caught with a bit of a predicament between I was going to do my longer run here along the promenade, 40k, you know, solo, hiding drinks in the bush and just slog it out. But actually, you know, there's a good opportunity. There's Limassol Marathon here on Sunday. And it was like, you know, there's thousands of people, there's drinks en route. There's enough time if I finish, I think, within 2:45 to still catch my flight comfortably. So some extra motivation to run there. And I thought, you know what, it's going to be so much easier doing my longer run within a marathon. So this one I'm using as like a training run. So it was a last minute decision, but I'm quite excited about it actually. And I need to run it smart. Otherwise I will pay for my sins, you know, next week or in the build up to London. So I'm going to use it as a progression run. I've got my head cam here and I will be filming it, that's for sure. So I'll show you what it's all about. But yeah, it's going to be sort of probably around, you know, 25 seconds slower than marathon pace for the first 14Ks, probably about 15 seconds or so a K slower for the next 14Ks. And for the final 14Ks, we'll sort of get closer to marathon pace. So a nice solid progression effort. My next race, apart from this practice marathon, is a good solid 5k race at the home of champions in London, Battersea Park. I would love to PB there. That's 10 days before London, and I feel like, you know, it's really good to sort of sharpen up around that time. And it's weird, like I've done specific 5k training, but when I do marathon training, I sort of like build up this aerobic base that's so different to 5k, and I tend to run faster 5k times. So we'll see if that works out in my favor. Anyways, guys, I got to get back to the kids. I'm taking them to the pool, so not quite the recovery that I need, but good for the soul. And yeah, just absolutely loving training more than ever. Cyprus is an awesome destination. Remember, I've averaged 221 low for my last 6 marathons. But you know, 221 versus 218, it doesn't sound like much. It's a 3-minute difference, but I promise you, it's a lot. But I feel like I've definitely am going to reach higher heights. So let's keep believing. Let's keep putting the work. Now's the time that counts. If you're training, let me know how it's going. Boom shakalaka. Let's go get it.